Top 10 Quest 2 games 2022 honest review.
Best free games.
Quest 2 games 2022 updated
Free
edition.
Oculus Quest 2 games.
Best Quest 2 games 2022 most honest review.
Amazing free Quest games.
Quest 2 games you need right now 2022 tier list honest review. Top cheap Bugatti first floor edition. Bro, I get it. This video is basically a parody of itself. There are more Quest 2 games lists than subscribers mothers I have calling me on a daily basis. So today I'm wrapping up, in my opinion, the greatest Quest 2 games of all time, going into 2023 as efficiently as humanly possible for those of you who are likely going to be picking up a Quest 2 this Christmas. And this will include games that are both paid and completely free to play. Each game will get a ranking from 1 to 10, 1 being as structurally cohesive as my f***ing dream, and 10 being full god tier level gaming. It goes without saying that all of this is my opinion, and as we all well know, my opinion is undeniable scientific fact that can never be argued with. If a game isn't featured on this list, it's likely because it's complete and utter heinous dog shit. In all seriousness, there are a lot of Quest 2 games out right now, and I'm almost definitely going to forget some because, let's be honest, I'm a newly born chimpanzee with a camera and a VR headset. Remember this, because every single time I say this in a games list video, I still somehow receive literally hundreds of angry messages saying, "Where's Fruit Ninja? GetHip? Where's Fruit Ninja?" You know what? Fruit Ninja. I actually like that game, but I'm not including it out of spite. And you know what? Gorilla Tag while we're at it. Monkey, these nuts. For those of you who aren't picking up a Quest 2 this Christmas, sat behind the screen watching this video feeling like the Joker, a like and sub would be very much appreciated as I'm trying to hit 1 million non-Quest 2 users by the end of the year. This is a super last minute inclusion, but it is a big one as during the editing of this video, as you can see, Triangle Factory just announced that this absolute banger of a game, Hyperdash, will be going completely free to play this December. I've mentioned Hyperdash plenty of times before. It is a dope multiplayer team-based shooter with a wide range of game modes, great visual style, fun gameplay, and awesome map design. The game is currently about $17 if you want to pick it up right now, but the game is going to go free to play in December, and it's an awesome Christmas gift from the team over at Triangle Factory, so thanks guys. Very epic. Easy 10 out of 10, bro. Robo Recall is by far one of the most slept on Quest 2 games of all time. It's depressing me that this game is so rarely mentioned by so many games lists. This is likely because the game was released all the way back in March of 2017. Robo Recall was an OG Oculus Rift exclusive title that got a Quest port in 2019. Because of this, a lot of VR YouTubers that played the game back in 2017 didn't give it a whole lot of coverage when it finally got a port to the Quest in 2019. So here I am, telling you to go buy this game if you haven't played it already. Robo Recall has you fighting waves of robots while you traverse through each of its city-based levels with some of the best VR combat of all time. The gunplay may as well be the CEO of sex, it's so good. You reload by dropping your guns to pick up new ones like Reaper from Overwatch, or you can throw them at robots you're fighting, have them bounce back only to grab your gun out of midair to have a full clip while plugging bullets out of the air to throw back at enemies. I gotta calm down, man. Not to mention, you can rip these motherfuckers' arms and legs off only to beat them and their friends to death with them. This game also has a small story that is honestly surprisingly engaging and has a nice twist to its ending. Robo Recall Unplugged, which is the Quest version's name, is about $30 on the Quest store and gets a godly 10 out of 10 on this list. If you're wondering why I can't tell you the exact pricing of each of the games that I list here, it's because I live in the United England Kingdom while it's financially on fire, and every time I do the conversion to dollars from the Oculus store, it's a different price. 60-something% of my audience is Yank, and most people here think that I'm weighing each game when I say pounds, so here we are. Back-to-back slept-on games today, baby. Space Pirate Trainer released all the way back in 2016 for PC VR. However, just like Robo Recall, when Space Pirate Trainer got a Quest port back in 2019, it was quickly overlooked as many content creators were already fully familiar with the title. It's mind-blowing to me how many Quest users that I speak to have never heard of Space Pirate Trainer until perhaps now in this video. The game has you fighting waves of drones with a multitude of different power-ups while mixing between your sidearms, shield, and drone puller gadget. Trying to beat your previous score by trying to stay alive for as long as humanly possible as each wave ramps up in difficulty is pretty addicting and a dope party game to play with friends. Whenever I want to show someone VR for the first time, Space Pirate Trainer is easily like one of the first games that I boot up. The Quest 2 version, DX, also includes a new room scale mode that allows you to play PvP with another Quest 2 user in your own play space. This is honestly pretty crazy and requires a large play space to achieve, but it's definitely worth checking out if you have, you know, 2 quests and a large play area. Space Pirate Trainer is dope and it comes in at about $20 on the Quest store. 8 out of 10. Haha, funny playful Shrek movie rhythm game. 10 out of 10. Haha, funny photo convention simulator game. 10 out of 10. Haha, funny get called the N-word by a 3-month-old in paintball game. 10 out of 10. Contractors is the best VR FPS out right now. Pavlov and Onward can Ligma. I love those games, but Contractors is literally injecting pure gamer crack cocaine into its veins right now, and it's growing in size and power with every single update. The gunplay is clean and satisfying. Recoil feels impactful but not obnoxious. There's a wide range of guns, game modes, and maps, as well as an absolutely freaking insane modding community. From Star Wars and Call of Duty to freaking Halo, the mods for this game are immaculate. Contractors is freaking awesome and comes in at about $20 on the Quest store. The GOAT. Stride, in my opinion, is like the best game out on Quest right now, easily. From the movement system that requires you to actually emulate running and jumping, to the new PvP mode, zombie tag mode, and the thrill of running around with friends, mixed with great level design, zip lines, and parkour. Stride is just awesome, man. I don't understand why I don't hear about this game more from other content creators or the community. Likely because it got a lot of coverage when it came out initially, with people calling it the mirror's edge of VR, which it is. And then when the multiplayer mode came out, it didn't get quite as much coverage. And the multiplayer mode is like the best thing about this game, in my opinion, and adds an entirely new level of depth to the entire game as a whole. Like, don't get me wrong, the game was already like a McLaren 720S with its single player mode, but this multiplayer mode has made it a Bugatti per sport. The customization, the gameplay, there's so much fun to be had here, and it takes advantage of a wireless native headset like no other game does. It's hard to explain just how great the movement system is. I personally find thumbstick movement in games to be super disconnecting. Seeing my character move around with no effort from myself is so common, yet feels so unimaginative. Having to actually swing your arms about, duck down to slide, and swing your arms up to jump seems like a goofy gimmick, but ends up being extremely engaging and allows you to feel like you have direct interaction with the game walls. Stride is around $15 and is an easy 10 out of 10.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Super Hard VR is an obvious classic. You've likely heard it repeated in Quest 2 games list videos over and over and over, just like single moms I have ringing me on a daily basis. So I'm gonna skip this game with an easy 10 single moms out of 10 single moms. I don't care if you don't like table tennis. I didn't either, trust me, until I found this game and sold my family, house, and personal belongings to become a full-time world-class ping pong champion. Ping pong in VR sounds boring and simple, but in reality, it's only one of those things. Through its simplicity and surprisingly well-done translation to VR, this game is pure addiction. The touch controller's vibrations are just enough to realistically simulate a ping pong ball bouncing off a paddle, and the physics engine is so impressive that you don't doubt you're playing like a real game of ping pong for even a second. Is awesome, totally worth the $17 or so price tag. That is, until you're placed against the Chinese ping pong prodigy that interdimensionally teleports around the table, forcing you to rage quit before throwing your Quest 2 all the way back to China. 10 out of 10. Thrill of the Fight is based on the one real-life true story of one Mark Zuckundes III. Thrill of the Fight is honestly a pretty simple game. You can train in a virtual gym before fighting in a virtual ring against progressively more difficult opponents. Back when I was a more shriveled scrotum of a human being than I currently am, Thrill of the Fight got me into working out in some capacity. It's kind of hilarious looking back on it. Thrill of the Fight ended up pushing me away from VR and into the gym for real. Thrill of the Fight, though, is some pretty legit cardio. You don't get much chance for a break between rounds, and by the end of it, you're usually dripping in sweat. And it's not just a workout. The game is genuinely really fun. That's why you end up spending so long in it and ending up in a pool of sweat to begin with. Hits feel surprisingly satisfying considering you're basically just shadow boxing. The opponents, particularly towards the back end of the game, get pretty tough too. Thrill of the Fight is just freaking awesome, and it comes in at about $10. Definitely worth checking out. 9 out of 10. If I'm honest, as great as the game is, I'm losing my mind mentioning it every Games List video, so let's move on before I start crying. It's about $30 on the Quest store. It's definitely worth checking out. 9 out of 10. The Resident Evil 4 Quest 2 port is honestly pretty astounding, translating a flat screen game borderline flawlessly to a VR medium. I don't even know what the word medium means, but it sounded smart, so I integrated it into that sentence like a big brain. Gameplay is great, the atmosphere was spooky, the story is engaging, and it's a perfect example of how so many older generation flat screen titles could be brought into VR for a second life. Resident Evil 4 is about $30 on the Quest store. 9 out of 10. Racket NX is by far some of the most fun I have ever had in VR, period. I'm British, and I still said period, just to add emphasis to how f***ing sick this game is. It perfectly takes advantage of VR as a platform and provides some of the most satisfying VR gameplay of all time. You clear waves of hexagons by bouncing this ball on and off walls. Sounds boring as I get it. I get that most of you probably don't care yet, but each combo, each hit crackles through the even shoddy Quest 2 speakers with impact, and it's even better with a friend. Fighting to get a new high score and climb the leaderboards together can strengthen or absolutely abolish relationships. This game also has a customization system and unlockables that provide a nice sense of progression, so when you pair up with a player that's better than you, you can physically see that on their avatar with all the unlocks they have. I love games that do that. I love games like Destiny where you can see people who are higher power levels than you. It provides a really nice sense of progression and makes you feel like you're actually like visually improving in the game in some capacity. Racket NX is about $15 on the Quest store. I love this game so much. It gets an easy 10 out of 10 on this list. First, I'd like to start off with a formal apology to all of my current subscribers that have likely witnessed me drool over this game time and time and again. Echo VR is the CEO of VR Zero Gravity Sex. It's 3 a.m. I'm reviewing the footage that my editor sent me, and he's inserted himself into the video as the CEO of Sex with a Snapchat face filter on. And I've realized that if I don't record this segment, this will make zero sense whatsoever. Back to the video. This isn't even my opinion, this is just official facts stated by reality. Echo VR is a 4v4 multiplayer zero-gravity free-to-play version of the real-life sport Ultimate Frisbee. Pretty simple. A frisbee spawns in the center of the map, and you have to get it into the enemy's goal. Simple concept, hard execution. This requires proper team play, understanding of the game's momentum system, and combat system, which is why most people hate this game. See, if you don't have at least one other friend to play with, starting level placed against other starting players, this game is essentially a RecRoom lobby of toddlers fighting over a frisbee. However, provided you stick with the game, perhaps find a couple of friends to team up with, learn the momentum system, practice, you will be placed with higher and higher ranked players that usually are a little more mature. That's not to say that you'll ever be able to escape the squeakers. They still exist at higher ranks, but are usually more competent and driven players than those you're initially placed with. I appreciate that this is a lot to ask from a new player to suddenly go through a whole boot camp of training just to get to the actual fun part. This isn't an easy game to get into, and I think you kind of have to accept that, but generally a lot of games, or really anything in life that has a higher ceiling for fun factor, tends to be harder to get into to start with. If it was easily accessible to anyone, that fun wouldn't be as valuable or engaging. I've never had more fun in a VR game than Echo at a higher level with some friends, and it's not for everybody, but it's free to play and at least worth checking out, especially with its consistent updates. And Ready at Dawn, if you're watching this, please, for the love of everything VR, add the combat mode from PC VR. Awesome, and it would be an easy smash hit on the Quest. It's baffling to me you guys haven't added it in some capacity. I get there's probably some technical reason that I don't understand because I have the IQ of a pigeon, but please just add it in some capacity, something, please. It's so good and it's just left stuck in PC VR hell. I think most of you knew this was coming, and here it is. Bonelab, although it's constantly fluctuating public opinion and mixed reviews, is all in all a pretty astounding VR experience provided you know what you're getting yourself into. Kind of all I can say without losing my mind trying to talk about how I actually feel about this game. Watch my video out of 10. Do I even need to say anything at all about this game? The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, the masterfully crafted zombie survival based open world RPG sent down from the VR gods, has already been talked about to death and is receiving a full sequel. I'm gonna keep this short. Buy this game. 10 out of 10. It's Mario Kart in VR and has some of the most satisfying VR driving of all time. Need I say more? I'm gonna say more, but I don't need to. Timing drifts will charge your boost meter to slingshot yourself past other players while shooting them with a crossbow as dummy thick chick on a wrecking ball swings overhead is peak VR, okay? I love this game. It's got pretty consistent updates and it's easily worth its $20 or so price tag. Next up is my channel. It's kinda ass, but sometimes has some bangers. Subscribe out of 10. Hope you guys like that list. If you didn't, well, that's live, isn't it? Check out my Instagram at GetHipYT. I post images of me doing various things. I also make stuff on Twitter. Join my Discord for single mom dating advice counseling. Great place for that. Discord.gg/GetHip. I guess I'll see you guys next video.